everyone was running. I've never seen anything like it.
There are armed police in the area. How clear do I need to be? Move out of this area! Get away!
I'm trying to keep myself safe.
They were just running around everywhere. Anyone was coming near them, or they'd see them come around the corner, they were just stabbing them, non-stop. They were just in another frame of mind. All they had on their mind was kill people.
Most of these people, it just looked like I was seeing a dead body after dead body after dead body.
The Black Cab said there has been a terrorist attack. I think the phrase he used was, it's Westminster all over again.
It began, just like the attack on Westminster Bridge in April, with a vehicle running over pedestrians. But this time, there wasn't just one attacker, there were three, armed with large knives.
Well, we saw people running, saying, run, you need to run, people are getting stabbed.
They went, this is for Allah, and then they just started stabbing her multiple times. They run off, three of them run off down towards the Borough Market.
Borough Market is a warren of bars and restaurants packed on a Saturday night, full of potential victims.
Walked outside, walked across the road, a fight breaks out. I'm like, what's going on here? Start to walk towards it. All of a sudden, the guy comes up with a knife, and I'm like this, ducks it, stabs me there, and I just like push him off. Blood's going everywhere. I walk into a pub, and I'm like, someone help me! I've just been stabbed.
And then some guy come round the corner. I went, run, run, run. They've got blades, knives. They're going to stab you. They're terrorists. Run. And then he turned around and then they just stabbed him multiple times as well. We went on the floor. And then I was running down behind him. I thought, I can't go. I've got to help people. I've got to warn people. And then there was people running everywhere. I was just going, go, go. Tell everyone they've got knives. They're terrorists. They're killing people.
Journalist Jeff Ho was able to walk from the scene despite having been stabbed while trying to intervene.
The door went open, they ran in, they stabbed a bloke, I heard him scream, he went on the floor, they stabbed a woman in there.
Most of these people, it just looked like I was seeing a dead body after dead body after dead body. At that point I was like, oh my God. And when I broke down was her phone was in a puddle of blood and it was covered in blood, and all I can see was it kept ringing. And even since I got there, I could see her phone on the floor ringing, the same name. But when it really got to me was when it was her blood was covering it in a whole puddle of blood, and it just kept ringing. And in my head I was like, if only this person on the other side knew.
The police and paramedics were on the scene within minutes, tending to the injured, trying to clear the area.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please leave the area for your own safety? Please.
There are armed police in the area. How clear do I need to be? Move out of this area! Stay still! Do not go down there!
While armed officers hunted down the terrorists. Gabriele Schiotto, a photojournalist, recorded what he saw.
I'm in direct from a terrorist attack in the middle of London. Police is shooting. I'm trying to keep myself safe. Yeah, here's a policeman coming towards me.
Disappear now!
Yeah.
Gone!
All right.
I wasn't really afraid. Yeah, it was more of an adrenaline. I wanted to take the pictures. I wanted to see what was going on. I wanted to see it with my eyes. Yeah, I started to shake more when I got off the scene, and when I went back home, I started to realize actually what happened in front of my eyes.
Romanian chef Florin Murario and his colleagues armed themselves with sticks to try to stop the attackers.
No, three. What attacking the police?
I had two crates in my hands. I threw one of the crates toward him, knowing that he would probably dodge the first one because he was looking at me. But I threw it, hoping that I would hit him with second one. I also started hitting towards him and hit him with second one. It hit his face.
Florin watched as a police officer led an injured man to safety. He appears to have retrieved a weapon from the scene. Armed officers were quickly closing in on their suspects. but staff and customers in restaurants and bars were still hiding inside.
This guy from the restaurant puts his foot in the door to jam it. Everyone panics, not unreasonably. Tables go over, food flies out of the way. People get under chairs and try and get down into a safe location. I looked up and saw opposite a guy who was throwing tables, and unclear what that was about and whether it was drunk behaviour. It turned out to be this heroic guy who was out there throwing stuff at the assailants to try and stop them and put our lives before his, which I can't believe that he did, but we're very thankful for. And then a few minutes later, I looked up and saw this guy leaving, absolutely covered in blood, holding his neck or his chest or whatever, and had clearly been the victim of this barbaric act.
There was like, I don't know, 30, 40 of us in this storeroom just hiding, and then there was gunshots, like, so many gunshots. And we were just lying on the floor, but like everyone was really like introducing ourselves, and we were all trying to keep each other calm and giving each other water and stuff.
Minutes after the alarm was raised, the terrorists were dead.
2 armed marked police behind the X5, black X5. Where they get back?
Oh my God!
50 shots from 8 firearms officers. An unprecedented number of bullets, said their boss. But they thought they were dealing with suicide bombers. Fake devices were strapped to their chests.
The situation these officers were confronted with was critical. A matter of life and death. 3 armed men wearing what appeared to be suicide belts. They had already attacked and killed members of the public and had to be stopped immediately. Indeed, I'm not surprised that when faced with what they must have feared were 3 suicide bombers, the firearms officers fired an unprecedented number of rounds to be completely confident that they had neutralised the threat that those men posed.
There's been universal praise for the way the police dealt rapidly and effectively with the attack, though one bystander was injured by a bullet. But when it was all over, people were able to leave the area safely, albeit creating powerful images of how a handful of men can terrorise hundreds.
Well, as you're leaving, you're going over people who have left their shoes as they've run off, they've dropped wallets, there's blood on places. You can see victims. I mean, 2 things struck me as the police, how amazing and heroic they are, how they run at the problem, and how they were our eyes and ears as we were just trying to meander the debris, as it felt like. And the second thing is I walked past this woman who was sadly face down, and these paramedics were looking after her, and thought, these paramedics run at the danger, then they turn their back on the danger to put together the life in front of us while we are running for ours.
Relatives of the victims have begun to pay tribute. Christine Archibald was a Canadian who'd come to London to be with her fiancé. And the family of James McMullen have been told he's one of the 7 people who were killed.
We would like to thank all the members of the services who did their utmost to serve and protect the population of London from these deranged and deluded individuals. While our pain will never diminish, it is important for us to all carry on with our lives in direct opposition to those who would try to destroy us. And remember that hatred is the refuge of small-minded individuals and will only breed more. This is not a cause we will follow despite our loss.
Others are seeking information about those who are still missing.
My boyfriend is missing since the terror attack. If you don't mind just having this or showing to your friends and let us know if you have any information.
Gerda's come all the way from Malta seeking answers.
He's the nicest person in the world. And I really, really want to see him again or just know if he's okay. I just want to know if he's alright or anywhere. I just need any information that I could know if he's there.
Within hours of the attack, the first arrests were being made. A block of flats in Barking, where one of the men lived, saw a dozen people detained. And neighbours were trying to come to terms with the news that someone they knew could be capable of such carnage.
He's got a family. He's always been pleasant to our family. We've all got kids within this block. You don't understand again, I'm just kind of absorbing this at the moment because I don't understand how it could have been him.
The man he liked was Khurram Shahzad Butt. The other attacker named by police was Rashid Radwan.
Somebody tell me the Qibla.
Anyone got a smartphone?
Butt was so open in his extreme views that he took part in a television documentary. No surprise then that he was known to the police and MI5, but he wasn't suspected of planning an attack and wasn't considered a priority. While forensic teams worked on the rented van used by the gang, a neighbour recalled being asked about hiring such a vehicle.
He said to me, oh, where did you get your van, Ken? How much is it? Is it possible to get in automatic? All these specific questions about the van, which obviously now makes sense in my head.
3 mass casualty attacks in 3 months. Large numbers of armed police have been sent out to reassure as well as protect the public. But at the highest level of government, there's an acknowledgement that tougher action is needed.
We cannot and must not pretend that things can continue as they are.
But coming a few days before a general election, political statements won't go unchallenged.
You cannot protect the public on the cheap. The police and security services must get the resources they need.
But party differences were briefly set aside as rival politicians stood shoulder to shoulder at a vigil to remember the victims and condemn their killers.
As a proud and patriotic British Muslim, I say this: you do not commit these disgusting acts in my name. We send our love to the victims' families and to all those who were injured. And we thank our courageous emergency services and the brave Londoners who risked their lives to care for others. You are the best of us.
Words of comfort and defiance, but all politicians will be keenly aware that the public want action. Whoever is Prime Minister by the end of the week will have tough decisions to make.